And
Yep.
Never mind. Leave it.
Oh,
We don't want
Thank
to go
you.
back to sleep.
I talk best in the dark. Very happy to see my niece Heather Judge here this morning. So we have a familiar face. I have been at Hope College since 1976 with a couple of breaks in service. So Hope College is a very, very special place for me. And as I go through my story, you will begin to understand why I feel the way I do about Hope College. Okay? I've got a wife. I've been married 33 years. 3 kids, a daughter 29, a son 27, and a daughter 21, and a grandson who turns 2 next week. So, he's a handful. He is something else. He's just like his mother. Heather knows what that's about. So, anyways, if you guys have questions while I'm going along, ask them. You know, I try and leave time at the end for question and answers, but I kind of like to be this more of an interactive thing. So, like, if you think of a question, go ahead and ask it while I'm going along, because then you don't have to try to remember to ask it at the end and go, what was that I was going to ask? So, you just kind of make this a little interactive, so it's kind of, it will make it fun. And hopefully very thought-provoking also. I used to be pretty heavy. My family on my dad's side, a lot of us are heavy on that side. Overweight, not necessarily the most athletic people, but as you can see, I also have a sense of humor. I have always had sometimes a little quirky, but always had a good sense of humor, and that is a really good way to hide what is, you know, the emotional state where I was at, because it's real easy to hide behind humor, because you make other people laugh and it helps you feel better too. But growing up, I was not an athlete at all. The only thing I ever did is I bowled for 20 years. From the time I was 8 till I was 28, that was my big sport, was bowling. I was pretty good at it, but that was the extent of my athletics. When I was 10 or 11 years old, a couple of guys taught me how to keep score for softball, because my father was an umpire 5 nights a week, pretty much for the entire time that I was growing up. So basically, if you wanted to spend time with my dad, it was going down to the ballpark, watching him umpire. So when I got old enough, I learned how to keep score. So then, starting at about 12 years old, I kept score 3 nights a week for the city of Holland, and then for Holland Township. So I'd be able to go with my dad and spend time with him that way, because he was so busy umpiring. So that was pretty much, my interactions with my dad as I was growing up. We did things around the house, but he was away quite a bit. Never really learned anything about nutrition. Just ate what Mom cooked. Didn't really pay much attention in high school. I did gym in high school all the way through there. So that kind of gives you the idea of where I was with any kind of exercise or athletics. I had an uncle, John Van Houten, in November of 1980. He was 40 years old, dropped dead of a heart attack. I was 19. My dad was 42. So that was a big wake-up call for my dad at the time. But for me, it was like, oh man, Uncle John was only 40. And we lost him, but I was 19. At 19 years old, you figure you're bulletproof. What's going to happen to you at 19? You're young, you're strong, you're not looking 10 years down the road, or even if you're looking 3 or 4 years down the road, you're lucky. So that didn't have a whole lot of impact on me. This picture right here is about at my heaviest, and so is this one here. I was over 250 pounds. This kind of gives you a real good idea of where I was at weight-wise. Just really didn't take very good care of myself at all. Bad nutritional choices, didn't exercise, didn't do anything. My health issues, high blood pressure, high cholesterol. I've always been, I didn't have any sugar issues. My issues were I was always on the borderline low sugar issues. But I didn't take care of that either. So really didn't do much about it. Over the last, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 years, I've lost 40 pounds twice before. Okay? Lost the weight, put it back on plus some, twice. Okay, and that's in between the times where I may have lost 10 or 15, so it's just been a constant, huge swings, and then little swings and whatnot. So, along with the inactivity, the bad nutrition, self-esteem, there was no self-esteem, okay? I could look in the mirror and I did not like the person that I was looking at in the mirror. I didn't like that guy. I didn't like where he was going. Didn't care for him at all. I just had no self-esteem. Even though I could do some things really good, I could work with my hands. I had a 73 Mustang convertible that I built up into a 400 horsepower monster. That was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. I took that thing drag racing. Okay? Legally. Down at Martin. And, of course, not that there were any illegal activities going on with me. So, and, people would look at it and, go, wow, this is really nice. My wife did a beautiful interior in it. But still, I would look at it and would go, not good enough. Not good enough. Nothing was ever good enough. I could never do anything good enough. I wasn't good enough. Okay? Many times, the constant thought going through my head, okay, the first time a difficulty would come up, what's the best solution? I could just go away. Okay, that's the first thought that would go through my mind. Boom. I'll just kill myself. Okay, and that was years of thinking that way. Okay, so that's not a real good emotional state to be in. And looking back at those times, being a Christian man, and I'm thinking, now I can think this because I have a clearer emotional state than I did for all those years. How can I think of so little of myself when God thought so much of me, that He sent His Son to die on a cross and go through a gruesome death to save me? How can I think of so little of myself where I just want to check out? Okay? Not a good place to be. And that's year after year after year after year after year. Okay? I'd have trouble at home. I'd have trouble at work. Something big's coming up that's not going to be good. What's the first thought? Not a good place to be. I don't want anyone to ever be there. All right? Okay. Now let's bring her up to, let's see, about 2008, I believe. I'm over 250 pounds. I'm coming up on 50. I got to go to the doctor. I have all the blood tests for the yearly, and I go in there, and he's like, you need to start exercising, and you need to start changing your nutrition, okay? Because if you don't, we're going to end up putting you on all kinds of medications, your blood pressure's too high, your cholesterol is way off the chart, and your good cholesterol is way down because I basically had a sedentary lifestyle.